All right. Good morning and welcome to this webinar. I'm very thrilled that you're here today. And this webinar is Healing and Harnessing the Masculine and Feminine Energies for Business Success. Such a fantastic topic, particularly because it's the root of yoga. I'll share a little bit about myself in a moment for those of you who we haven't met. And being a yoga teacher and understanding what yoga is, I learned many years ago that Hatha yoga, which is what most people are practicing, is rooted in Hatha yoga. Ha means sun and Ta means moon. So Hatha yoga is balancing the feminine and masculine, those moon and lunar energies. And that's the whole purpose of it, is to balance those, not balance meaning 50-50, but balance to our unique constitution and our unique dharma and proclivities and destiny, if you will. So let me just share my screen with you here. Can't do two things at once. All right. Can you see my screen? Just give me a show of hands if you can raise your hand if you can see that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So part of the healing and harnessing these energies of the Ha and the Ta, the sun and the moon, is to do that without having to burn out or sell out. I have been in a solopreneur my whole life, essentially, from university and diving into the working field, beginning to teach yoga 25 years ago. And from there, developing into getting my certification as a clinical Ayurvedic specialist, becoming an energy healer, writing a couple of books, and building a business. And I've gone through many phases in my business over the last 25 years, as you can imagine, some of them burning out. And I don't know if I've sold it. I would like to think I haven't sold out, but definitely have done things out of alignment with my truest knowing in the past. So I love this quote by Tony Robbins. He says, "In 10 years from now, you'll surely arrive. The question is where?" And hearing that, I just thought it's so great, because life is moving on, time is moving forward, and we're often just kind of going on. Sometimes we're in survival mode, just, feeding the kids, getting the dog for its walk, whatever we might be doing to just get through our life. But often we're not living consciously or intentionally. And I know you are all super conscious people. I'd like to consider myself one of them also. And yet still, I have blind spots, and I'm imagining you might also have some blind spots. And that's where we get to really become the co-creator of our life, is recognizing that until we are conscious in how we are engaging with our masculine and feminine energies. And just to be clear, I'm not talking about male and female here. I'm talking about the energies of the masculine and feminine. Until we understand the alchemy of that, we will not live and fulfill our highest potential. We just can't. It needs to come from a deeper place. So why you're here today: you're a coach, you're a healer, you're a yoga teacher, a spiritual entrepreneur. You want to create a business that's aligned with your values, not just a carbon copy of someone else's. And you're also interested in how this part of the masculine and feminine energies are playing out in your life and in your business. So just quickly about me, for those of you who I'm meeting for the first time, my name is Melanie or Maduri. I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. I support heartpreneurs to increase their income and impact from a place of true integrity that's in alignment with their true self. In Ayurveda, we call that Prakruti. True self is Prakruti. I've created a business where my self-care and self-nourishment are a priority. And that came out of a decade-long autoimmune condition. That came out of, I've had many different strange illnesses and injuries, where I got to a point in my life where I had to I didn't have to put myself, but I realized I want to put myself first. I want to put my life first and make sure that I'm living a life, not just getting up in the morning and working. So I've created my business to really suit my lifestyle and my deepest desires and intentions. So I no longer spend energy, and I used to spend tons of energy in financial fear, because my business is my spiritual practice. My business is no longer separate, and especially for solopreneurs, you can't separate your business from your life. So what's going on in your inner world will be mirrored back to you through your business. And this is what I love about being self-employed and creating my own life and business, is that everything that comes up inside of me, so whether I'm going to, raise my rates or put out a workshop or a retreat or a webinar, whatever it might be, I recognize that what comes up inside of me is mine, and that's where my growth work is. It might look like it's for my business, but the truth is, it's for me. It's for me to heal. And the more that I clean up the energy inside of me that is out of balance, that is not in my wholeness and in my integrity, the more my business grows and thrives in a wonderful way. And I know this because it feels better. And I get emails from clients and past clients every week sharing the impact that our work has together, that it's had on their life. And that just makes me so happy, because that's why I do what I do, is to support others to be liberated from their own restrictions. And I literally went from being sick, from living in a 400 square foot apartment with my ex-husband, basement apartment, it was horrible, to now helping more people. I'm having more fun, and I'm truly making a difference in my clients' lives, and more than ever before. And it's because of my devotion and dedication to my own inner work. And I take that not just for myself, but because I know that if I have issues, say around abundance, if I have issues around visibility, if I have issues around worthiness, I can't lead people where I haven't been. So I get inspired to look at myself and to see, excuse me, where my blind spots are and where I am still operating out of limitation and constriction. That inspires me, because I know that's not just on me. That is going to affect my clients. So I lean into challenges where I would in the past have contracted. I'm like, okay, this is for my own growth. And when I heal these parts, then I can also support others in the healing of that. But, until I make $1 million, it's probably going to be difficult for me to teach you how to make $1 million. Until I live from a healthy place, it's probably going to be difficult for me to teach you and really embody true health. Until I live from that true place of self-care and making my life a priority and my values at the top of my business, then I can't teach you how to do that. And I know there's many people out there who might be teaching things but not living them. And for me, it's important that as solopreneurs in the spiritual space, that we actually embody our teachings. So my mission, I'm here to support soul-led business owners to increase their income and impact from a place of total alignment with their true nature. In spiritual terms, I would say I'm here to support people to fulfill their dharma. And the people that resonate with me, I'm not here for everybody on the planet to help support them to fulfill their dharma, but for the people that I'm here to lead, to support, to facilitate, then those are the ones. So today is for you if you feel somewhat stuck in your business, there's more you're meant to offer, but there's something that's, you're trapped in a cycle of hustle and overwhelm, or you're full of doubt, fear, or imposter syndrome, or maybe not full of, but those sneaky little narratives can come up. This is not for you if you're not willing to change anything, whether that be inner or outer. If you're not willing to look honestly at your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions, or if you're not interested in changing anything in your business, because then you're just going to get more of the same result. We've all heard that saying, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So today I would like to show you how to work with the polarities of the masculine, feminine in your business, create your dream life without having to do it anyone else's way, and finally live a life feeling healthy, whole, energized, and confident in that. All right. What we're covering: 3 essentials: how to increase your awareness of your current energetic state, how to align with your intuition and not follow a formula. There are so many formulas out there that we're being sold on the internet. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on them, and you don't need to follow one, but you do need to do some other things, and how your business is truly your spiritual practice. So let's get started. And I recognize I'm speaking quickly today. It's because I have a lot to cover, and I want to share it with you. I'm very excited to share it with you. So I apologize for my quick speaking. No, I don't apologize. And why am I saying that? I don't apologize. This is a teaching in my Unleashed mentorship right now. We're talking about not apologizing when it's not a true apology. I'm aware that I'm speaking quickly. All right. I'm going to stop my share here for a second. So essential number 1 is, and this is any essential in our spiritual growth in life, is awareness. So often we're just navigating, we're walking through life, and we just think how we are is reality. Yes, this is just the way the world is because we're seeing through our filter. Meanwhile, you know, your neighbor down the street and someone across the world, they have a different filter. They have a different perspective. They have a different vantage point. So there is no ultimate, the only things that are ultimate truth, the big T truth, are things that are true for every human on this planet. So that might be something like gravity is a truth. It's a law. We all are under the effect of gravity, but our personal beliefs or our personal, some people, we get really jazzed up. I want to call them all my truth is, and these might be subconscious, but our beliefs or truths might be, it's hard to make money, or you have to work hard to make money, or I'm too old to do blah, 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 or I'm not smart enough to do fill in the blank, or only people like that are healthy, or only people like that make X amount of dollars. Our lives are governed by our subconscious programming. 95% of our daily operation is motivated from the subconscious. And for those of you who have worked with me in the past, you know that I am really dedicated to illuminating what's in the subconscious to affect our life. And that's theta healing is one of the processes and programs that I offer that is specific to that. So where do you operate from? If you just sit back right now and feel into and get a sense of, are you more often in your masculine or in your feminine energies? And if you're like, I don't know, what does that even mean? I'm going to share with that in a moment. But just, I want you to, before I give you any information, just to feel into that for yourself. Are you aware when you're in that solar energy, that dynamic energy, when you're in the feminine, that lunar energy? And if you were to put a percentage, you know, how much of the time of your life are you spent in one or the other? No judgment, just to get curious. All right. So we have both masculine and feminine energies. We all do, no matter what gender or sex we identify with. And we have masculine and feminine energies in balance and out of balance. So I'm going to start by sharing some examples of masculine and feminine out of balance and see if you relate to any of these. So let's start with the masculine out of balance. Would be controlling, overdoing, perfectionism, competitive, power-driven, overworking, a sense of yourself being connected to performance or productivity, producing something. So when I do, I'm valuable. If I do something, if I perform something, not on stage necessarily, but a performance-based way of living. Okay, so those are some examples of masculine out of balance. So, and it also might be dominating, being micromanaging others, thinking in those right or wrong. I know what's right. Here's how you do it. This is how it should be done. That form of needing to get it right and needing others to do it in the way that you think is right. Feminine, out of balance, passive, indecisive, putting others' needs first. So being that pleaser, having a struggle to assert oneself. I'm not talking about domination or domineering, but struggle to just be assertive, speak up for what your needs are. Difficulty setting a healthy boundary or putting yourself first. Low self-esteem, difficulty making decisions, meaning you're disconnected from your intuition, you're disconnected from your knowing. So just type in the chat an M if you feel like you are in the masculine out of balance, or an F, or both if you feel that you can relate to all of those things. I'd love to see how you're resonating with this, what's going on for you. Out of balance in the masculine, feminine, masculine. And we're going to find masculine, definitely feminine. And you'll probably notice 75% masculine, 25% feminine, masculine. Right. And you'll notice probably on both of those lists, you can relate to something, right? Like, oh, I'm mostly here and I also show up in this way. So that's the first step, is just looking at that of like, where am I motivated from? Because underneath that, where we're motivated from is that subconscious. It's all of our conditioning and programming that has brought us to that point. So let me share with you some examples of masculine and feminine imbalance. So the masculine imbalance is leadership, assertive. Again, not controlling, but assertive. Active listening is in the masculine imbalance. Confident without needing to dominate. Understanding different perspectives is that balanced masculine. Being able to say, oh, I could see it this way. Oh, I can see where you're coming from. Being open to different perspectives and meaningful connections. Feminine in balance is nurturing, compassionate, deeply connected to one's intuition. Again, assertive. And we think, oh, is that feminine? Yes. Feminine in balance can also be assertive because you're in your center. You're in your sovereignty and you know what you need. You know how to voice it. You know how to be clear with it. Oh, I feel bad, or oh, I'm sorry, right? All those pleaser conditioned tendencies. Feminine imbalance is independent. Masculine imbalance also values self-care, knows how to set healthy boundaries, makes choices aligned with your own needs and desires, and care for others without neglecting yourself. Right? Instead of, oh, I can care for everybody else. And we think, oh, that's the feminine. Oh, I'm in my feminine. I'm caring for everyone else. I'm so compassionate. But meanwhile, oh, well, little old me gets none of it. That's out of balance feminine. So in balance feminine, you think of that, mama bear. If mama bear isn't well, she can't take care of the young ones. So we need to, whether, we're talking about any energies, masculine, feminine, both of those require us to take care of ourselves and to make ourselves a priority. So in the masculine out of balance, that might go into selfishness. It's all about me. But the feminine out of balance would go to, it's never about me. It's all about everyone else's needs and desires. Yes? Okay. So what's the state of your nervous system in relationship to the masculine and feminine? You might have a sense of that as I'm giving these examples and seeing where you live. Do you live in that majority of the time in that feminine out of balance, the masculine out of balance? And how do you experience that in your body? How do you experience that somatically? And if you're not sure, I invite you to close your eyes right now and feel in your body just in this current moment. What do you notice? Is there heat in any area? Is there contraction, tension, tingling, numbness? Does all the energy want to go up into the thinking mind? And it's very difficult to feel your feet even. Just notice where you operate from. And I know it's not all of the time because we're complex, varied creatures, but we have tendencies and places we hang out in our nervous system, in our belief system, and that affects our business. It affects how we show up in the world. It affects how we allow ourselves to be visible or not. It affects all of that. So awareness is the first essential, of course, because without that, we just don't know. And I'm hoping that today, that greater awareness will be brought to you in this area. That's why we're having this conversation. So the taking action is the slowing down to notice the state of your nervous system and to observe, literally to get curious about your behavior and your thought processes and whether you're in that solar energy, that lunar energy, and is it in balance or out of balance, and to really take stock of that. And then you can take action as far as, okay, well, what do I need to come back into balance? Just like Ayurveda, we're always going to be looking to the opposite qualities to bring balance. So similar thing here, if we're out of balance, too much in that solar energy, well, then we need to call in and consciously create more of that feminine energy. All right, essential number 2, how to align with your intuition and not follow a formula. Okay, I get really excited about this because I've done both in my business. I've done it all, maybe not all, but I've done a lot. As far as many years ago, I would follow things online. I would follow people online. I would maybe try to emulate what people were doing because they looked successful. And some of those things were good. Some of those things led me to feel like, oh my God, this is overwhelming, or I hate doing this, or the technology, or the social media, or things that didn't feel aligned with my gifts and didn't feel aligned with how my energy flows. But I thought, because I hire a mentor, or I bought an online program that was like, oh, this is how you do it. This is how you become successful. And it might work for some people. Absolutely. It's not to say that those things can't work. But if you override your inner knowing, and if you don't know yourself, if you don't know how you operate in balance and out of balance, you're going to probably have that shiny object syndrome. Just by show of hands, has anyone ever had that shiny object syndrome where you've yeah. And has that led you to purchasing online programs that you've never used, or maybe didn't even open? And yeah, I can relate. And so we all want to be successful in the way that matters to us. Success looks different for everybody. And first of all, you need to define what that is without limitation. And this is something that was exposed to me by a mentor I worked with, where I realized I had these sort of, I can have this, but then I have to give up this mentality. Oh, I can have a successful business, but then I'm not going to have time to enjoy myself or do outdoor activities or have time for self-care. So it's this, I have to give up something to get something mentality. And that was really eye-opening, because I realized that I had a lot of beliefs associated with that it was like a transactional, that, okay, well, if I get healthier, then I have to give up this. If I get more financially abundant, then I have to give up this. So I invite you to get curious about where inside of you may be holding yourself back because you think, well, if I become successful, that means I won't have time for my kids or time to do what I want. Or if I do this, then I can't have that. Is there anywhere in your life that you think, well, if I put myself out visibly on social media, then I'm going to get attacked, or I'm going to get criticized. Or there's already, we make up beliefs and stories. If I want this, then I can't have that. And I can't have that if I want this. And this is part of following someone else's formula. And when we're following someone else's formula, sometimes, unless we were divinely guided to that formula, to that system, which can happen, absolutely, but we're disconnected from our intuition. And I have found that connecting to my intuition would be my balanced feminine is one of the most powerful ways that I have made decisions and taken actions in my business and in my life, because they're not separate. There are times that I have not trusted my intuition, have not listened to it. Maybe I've heard it and then I've overridden it. Anyone else done that? You've heard it, you know the signal, you know exactly what to do, and then the conditioning, the ego mind comes in and you do something else, you do the old way. I see this often. I will have calls with people who are so excited to do the deeper work, to whether it's in their health, their life, their business. They're so excited to go to the next level. And then the moment it gets to committing, the fear comes in. Their intuition said yes. The fear goes, oh my God, no, that's because the fear is speaking from past experience. The fear isn't speaking from limited, infinite possibility. The fear isn't even speaking from who you truly are. It's speaking from conditioning. So when we ignore our intuition, whatever that might be in any realm of our life, we tell ourselves, that we can't trust it. And then that creates a neural network. We tell ourselves that we're not powerful. We tell ourselves that we're not connected to our higher power, to divinity, every time that we ignore our intuition. And when we realize that our intuition is our unprogrammed self, the knowing beyond the knowing, the part that knows beyond the intellect, beyond reasoning, because in our culture, in our society, in this time in history, we're giving so much emphasis to information, to logic, to practicality. And yes, we need those skills, but it's overdeveloped. And so our intuition has atrophied. Our intuition has atrophied. And that we need to shift, we need to change, we need to tune into ourselves. And so ways to do that, ways that you take action on cultivating this, is to slow down. To slow down your thinking, slow down your decision making, slow down your walking, slow down your talking, slow things down as a practice. Not saying like forever, but as a practice to consciously go, where am I operating from? Because if it's automatic, I'm speaking about conditioned automatic, you will not get the result of your soul, you'll get the result of your ego. Does that make sense? Okay. So self-talk, meaning speaking to yourself, is a way to cultivate your intuition, having a dialogue with your inner knowing, not just when you need help to know something, or give me the answer. Oh my God, give me the answer now. Universe, tell me. If we don't have an ongoing relationship with our higher self, meaning the unconditioned parts, then when we really do need to make that decision, it's going to be difficult to know. We'll end up being like, I'm confused. I don't know. I don't know what to do. And then we'll go into fear, and then we'll often go into logic, practicality, or we'll resort back to our old patterns and programming, which is not bad or wrong. It's just not going to get you anywhere different. So if you are like 100,000,000% like loving every aspect of your life, well, you can go. And we'll take your next webinar. That's amazing. We will learn from you. But if you're not, it means there's something that is calling your attention. And I know that you know what it is inside yourself. When you really get honest with yourself, you know what you're avoiding. You know where you are like, oh God, ooh, I need to like skirt around that. Yes? So I spent tens of thousands of dollars on formulas, on programs. And it wasn't until I found a mentor that really understood and thinks the way that I do, that that our business is a spiritual practice, and that really our business is a reflection of our own sense of self. If I don't feel worthy, I can say all the affirmations till the cows come home about how successful and abundant I am. But if there's an energetic imprint of I'm not good enough that is running the show deep down, it will not manifest anything sustainable in the outer world. And that's not because the universe is cruel. It's because the universe is like, oh my God, if we gave you all that, you don't have the container to hold it. You don't have the energetics to hold that degree of success or abundance. So our sole purpose, from my perspective, is our inner work. That's how we build a business. It's a spiritual practice. And thank God it's so amazing that we can build a business as we heal and grow and develop ourselves. Like, how amazing is that? And help other people along the way. Incredible, beautiful. How grateful. How grateful am I? So we need to go beyond our conditioning. We need to come into the balanced masculine and feminine. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you exactly what that looks like for me in my life. Okay, let me just share my screen with you again. All right. So we talked about aligning with your intuition and not following a formula. Again, sometimes we may be guided to a formula, and that's great. But oftentimes it's not anyone else's formula that's going to work for us. Okay, your business is your spiritual practice. Why is this so important? Well, I just mentioned that because there is nothing else. There is nothing else. When we realize that the only game in town is our inner work, then our business starts to be fun. Then that fear around making that video and putting it on Instagram starts to be like, oh, wow, I get to actually expand the part of me who feels so terrified of being judged. I get to heal that. Not just sitting in meditation all day, being like, I love myself. Yes. And when you begin to go outside of your comfort zone, what comes up for you? It's easy to feel good when life is good, when things are good, when things are flowing. But when we're not, or when we have to or choose to move beyond our past paradigm, it's going to get uncomfortable. And how you be with yourself as you step into the void is going to determine your success. How you can hold yourself in the unknown when the money hasn't showed up, when the clients haven't shown up, when the external validation hasn't shown up, when the likes haven't shown up, but to hold steadfast because you are connected to your big why, because you are connected to your heart's knowing that you were put on this planet for a purpose, that you put yourself on this planet for a purpose, that you chose to be here, and that you playing small and holding back inside your own self and worrying and fretting and doubting and this and that isn't serving anybody but your own ego, the wounded ego, the inferior ego. So when we can get out of the way and understand that, oh, this is all about me and this is nothing about me. This is all about my inner work, because I'm going to meet the parts inside of myself that are so uncomfortable. every step closer to something different, something more true and honest, the ego is going to get louder. It's going to rear its head. It just is. It just works that way. And then when you know, because of your intuition, because of your connection to your knowing, you take that next step. You take that right action. You take that inspired action, and literally energy opens up, worlds open up. Things that you didn't believe were possible before are possible because you are operating from a different level of consciousness. The level of consciousness in which you're operating from is what will meet you, what will match you. Does that make sense and resonate? Awesome. Okay. So here's what I found for me, and I think it's going to help you as well for success. We take the feminine, and in the feminine aspect, we take our intuition and then surrender. Not complacency, true surrender. True surrender is the deepest commitment we can ever make. Oof. Oh, that just hit my heart. Did you feel that? True surrender is the deepest commitment we can ever make, and vice versa. When we truly commit, we're surrendering. So we align that, we match that with the masculine. So intuition, surrender is our feminine. We match that with commitment and inspired action, not willy-nilly action, not hustle action on the treadmill. I'm doing this. Oh my God, this person said I'm supposed to do this. This is what, oh my God, I have to blah, 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 blah. I have to write a blog. I have to do a post. I have to make a newsletter. I have to make a video. I have to blah, blah, blah. All the busy work means you're likely, if you're in busy work, if you're in hustle, you're in a dysregulated nervous system. You're out of your power. You're out of your center. You're out of your integrity. And I get it. I have been there. And that's the hustle culture we've been fed. And often we've been fed from that masculine paradigm. And so that's what we think is success. Because we see that in our culture. It's been the patriarch who has been successful, who have had the reins of money. And so now, even when women are becoming successful financially in the world, often, not always, often they will be mimicking, adapting a masculine formula only. Okay, but I wanted to share this with you guys because this was really fun. Last night, I'm signed up to a program. It's not a formula, but a program right now. And I was listening to a video. I just let my intuition guide me. I was like, what video universe do I need to watch right now? I laughed out loud because it was an interview with, oh shoot, what's her name? Sarah. She is the woman who was the founder of Spanx and now is a billionaire, I believe. One of the most successful female entrepreneurs ever. Sarah. Anyway, the Spanx lady. And she was talking about intuition. And I was laughing. She was talking about the masculine and feminine energies. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like tomorrow's the webinar. And I am listening to this woman say that she got into these business support groups. There were four men and her, and they were like, so Sarah Blakely, maybe that's her name. Sarah, what's your business plan? She's like, I don't have one. And these guys apparently had bets that she would be out of business in a matter of years, like that she would just fade away. Because they were saying to not them, other people in her industry or in business were saying to her, Sarah, business is war. And she was like, I don't want it to be war. Why does it have to be war? And so her whole thing was listening to her intuition. And they would say, Sarah, these guys in her, mastermind business support group, how are you going to make these decisions? She's like, I'm going to ask the universe. And these guys thought she was a fruitcake. And then she started making millions of dollars. And they're like, what is going on here? Wait a second, what is happening? So the power of harnessing intuition is not to be underestimated. In fact, I believe it is more important and powerful than the masculine. Most of you have the masculine energy down. You know how to overfunction, you know how to overdo, you know how to do, perform. You know that. But can we operate our life, our business from a place of self-care, a priority, true self-worth, faith, listening and trusting? Listening and trusting. And it's going to look different for everyone. That's why there isn't a formula. The formula is know yourself, do your inner work, get support by someone that sees you, that is your cheerleader, and that has done the work themselves. That's the formula in my eyes. Beyond that, I don't know. So most people stay in the eddy, right? They stay in the eddy, spinning around in the unbalanced masculine and feminine. That's how most people, especially in like good-hearted spiritual entrepreneurs, healers, yoga teachers, coaches, hearts of gold, but are stuck in the eddy. I was there and I see it so often. People that want to either make a greater impact or a greater income or both, who really want to bring meaningful work into the world. And they're either so scarified because their own limitations are holding them back. And so to me, that illuminates the area of like, there's inner work to do there, coupled with, yeah, you got to take action. You can't sit back and just meditate all day and visualize. Those things are part of it. But without the inspired action, without the commitment, without drawing a line in the sand and saying, I am choosing this now. And I invite you, today can be the day, this webinar can be the day that you put the stake in the ground and say, I am committing to this. I am committing to looking at the places inside of me that are contracted, that are limited, that don't believe, that don't trust. And I'm willing to take the action, whatever it takes, wherever the universe is guiding me, to follow that intuition, to say yes. And the more we say yes when it's divinely guided, this is where serendipity opens up. This is where magic happens. This is where we create the life of our dreams and the business of our dreams. And we can't sit back on the sidelines doing that. We just can't. And we also can't just take action out of fear and like, you'll burn out. And you probably won't. No, you won't. You won't be aligned with your true voice and your true authenticity because you're copying someone else. That works for them. They're not you. This is your dharma. You came here. You have a unique vibration, a frequency. And I don't say this lightly. You have a frequency that is the gift that is so unique to you that no one else can replicate. Do you get how big that is? In this whole freaking universe, 7+ billion people, nobody can do it like you. Nobody brings the medicine that you bring in the way you bring it because of who you are, because of your life experiences. Nobody. And when you tune into that, when you live from that place, you will be unstoppable because you are now in alignment with the divine. And where source is omnipresent, source is omnipotent. Where God is, you are, and there is nothing that you cannot do that is aligned with your soul's calling. What I don't want to happen is that more time goes by, more life goes by, and you sit on the sidelines, or you don't take the step, or you don't take the risk that you know you're like, I want this. And so when you align your thoughts, your beliefs, your energy, and when you take action in alignment, that is when manifestation happens. It is the balance of the masculine and the feminine, bringing the best of you when you're in your true self, not conditioned self. Your true self is whole. Your true self knows that you were born whole. You were born in perfection. There's nothing inherently wrong with you or the world. And when you operate from that place, it's a very different quality of energy with your clients, in your classes, when you're teaching, yoga, when you're doing your therapeutic work with your clients, whatever it might be. Is this resonating? Okay. So I want to give a little bit of time for anyone who has questions around this. And then before we go, I also want to say thank you for coming in and showing up live. I have a special gift for you, for those of you who are here today, as a thank you. And I'll also talk more at the end about further work together if you want to work together. But for now, let's open up to some questions and answers. You can type in the chat if you have a question, or you're welcome to unmute yourself if you would like to unmute yourself and just speak your question forward. There is no silly question. There is nothing that is off the table. For those of you who I've worked with before, you know that in my masterminds and in my groups and one-on-one work, there's nothing that we can't bring to the table.
Hi, Melanie. Hi, everybody. I'm Dee. I have something that has come up actually just this morning, and I want to talk a little bit about consistency. Because I find that I'm not consistent. I'm consistent up until a point.
Okay.
And then I realize that there's a block, and I have a feeling I'm focused more on the outcome than the actual process. So if you could talk about that a minute.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is you're struggling with consistency. You're not feeling consistent. You're consistent. And then what's the point? You said I'm consistent up to a point. What's the point that you drop off?
I'm not seeing results. So I'm like, guess I'm not doing it the right way. Guess I'm not something.
Okay. And then you drop it.
Yes. So it's masculine, masculine, masculine. And then the feminine's like, oh, I'm not really receiving anything. So how to hell with it.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is the out of balance masculine bulldoze forward. And then the out of balance feminine is like, passive, let me lie down and roll over and die.
Kind of.
And then what's the inner narrative that comes up around that?
There's a narrative of, well, you've never been consistent with anything else in your life anyway, so why would this be any different?
Okay.
Things that you've tried to do, you are gung-ho at the beginning, and then it fizzles out because you're not seeing, tasting, touching, hearing the results that you want right now.
I love this question, Dee. Beautiful. Thank you for bringing this forth. And I'm seeing other people are resonating as well with this. Let me just mute our newcomers here. Okay. A couple things. So I would invite you, Dee, and all of you to go back to the seed place, the origin of that thing you felt inspired to do. Or maybe it wasn't inspired. Maybe it was like, oh, I want to copy this thing because that looks really good that someone else is doing, or I want the outcome that person has. I want you just to get clear on what was the original motivation. Do you know, Dee, in this situation, do you remember the original motivation for doing it?
The original motivation for doing it was to bring in a different aspect into my business and let go a little bit of a part of it that I just wasn't resonating with me.
Okay. So to bring in a new energy, something different. And did that feel like a should or something that you were really jazzed up about?
No, it felt like incredible possibility.
Okay. Incredible possibility. I love that. And then you got up to a point, you're not seeing the results. It's not going the way that you thought it would or wanted it to. And then it's like, blah, wah, wah. Okay. So there's a little bit of, and I'm going to give this analogy. I know you've all heard it, or I'm imagining you've all heard it. We take the seed. We have this seed. It's such a beautiful seed. Oh my God, this is so exciting. This is so cool. I can just see how the possibility and potential in this. I'm going to plant that seed. we plant the seed. Maybe we even water it and put it in sunlight. Maybe we even nurture that seed. And then a week later, we're like, where's my thing? Why isn't it growing? We don't see it. So then we're like, well, I'm going to freaking dig it up. There's like, what's wrong with this seed? Right? So often when things don't happen in the ego's time, meaning, well, I thought this would be more successful by now. I thought this would be more profitable by now. I thought this would be more, there would be greater traction. I thought it would be something. What we've gone into is our ego, and then we have to reconnect to your big why. Why am I doing this? And then reassess, is this something I really want to do? And if it's 10 more years, if it's 20 more years, are you willing to stay in the game? Most people don't have the devotion to what they're doing. And that's why the big why before we start a project is so important. Not that it's always going to go the way we think it should. I believe business is about pivoting. Life is about pivoting, right? We think it's going one way, and then all of a sudden, no. Is this my next best step? When you drop the consistency, it's a beautiful time to reassess. Why am I doing this? And is this, we get to do things without the attachment to the outcome. This is where the spiritual practice comes in. So I showed up here today to offer this webinar. I didn't know how many people would come. I still don't know how will it be received. Is this important? Is this helping people? I'm doing this because I want to do this. I'm doing this because in the doing of it, I'm growing. In the doing of it, I'm deepening my practice and my commitment, regardless of the outcome, regardless of the success of it. So when we make choices from that, and yes, have intention, yes, here's the outcome I would love. But if you drop it too early, it's just a reflection either of, this isn't the right thing, and now I have a moment to reassess, or I got to lean in so deep to this. I got to double down. I got to recommit. And what is happening, Dee, it's the energy behind it wavers, right? When we don't get the external validation or how we thought it would go, we're not seeing the results, the energy wavers. And often it will be the vice versa. The energy starts to waver. Results can't come. Your ability to sit in the void, which is actually the feminine, that darkness, sit in the darkness, sit in the unknown, and still be in the masculine, inspired action. Oh, no one cares that I'm doing this thing. Oh my God, I'm doing this thing. I thought it was the thing. I'm doing this thing. You will get to see where the leaks in your bucket are, the holes in your bucket. Oh, I'm doing this thing. No one's showing up, or no one's cared, or no one's bought it, or no one's signing up. What is it? What's coming up inside of me? Oh, I feel like I'm not consistent. I feel like I've never been consistent. Oh my God, I'm a failure. Oh my God, I'm not good at this. Oh my God, I should have never started this. Oh, burr. And then most people quit instead of going, wow, what an opportunity to see where the holes in my bucket are, to see where my limiting perceptions and beliefs are not allowing the thing to come in. How could the thing come in the way that you wanted from your soul place? You have that vision, you have that inspiration, but the thing can't come in. And we think, well, I made a mistake, or this isn't the thing. No, you haven't lined up your energy to live as the one who can hold the container of that amount of success, that amount of money, that amount of clients, that amount of whatever it is. Does that make sense, Dee?
On every single level. Yeah, that was, yep. That's the reconnecting and reassessing and keep moving forward, because I know in the depths of my soul, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm called to do. It's like you said, all those excuses and ego gets right in the way. And I'm like, oh, there's a roadblock. Okay, I'll just go this way then.
That's right.
I'll
And
just
then
take
we
the
give it
path of
up.
least resistance, and then we give it up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good to want to give it up.
Okay.
And so I
that's
know there's
knowing.
something there.
Yes. So this is the little sprout is sprouting. It's under the soil. You can't see it. That's where most people give up. I can't see it. Well, the people who are successful are not the people who haven't failed. Failure is a part of business, a part of life. It is essential to your business. It is essential to your life. That's not the sign from the universe that you're doing something wrong or that you failed. If, and I'm saying this if because you told me, Dee, that in your soul, this is the right thing. Sometimes it's important to walk away. Again, we will know when we're deeply connected to that. Sometimes that's the highest and best is to walk away. Absolutely. But most people stop before they've even started because they did the one thing. Oh, well, no one showed up or no one signed up. I've been doing this for 25 years. And you think there haven't been so that's where the spiritual practice, the container of going, how do we hold the void? We anchor into the unknown. We deepen into the unknown. We don't flee from it. We don't run from it. We go, how can I be here? Uncomfortable as, I was going to swear, very uncomfortable. So uncomfortable because the ego didn't get it in the time it wants it to, or the time it should have taken, or how other people, I'm looking at I'm looking at other people. Well, it worked for them. It worked for them because it worked for them. They're on a different timeline. They're on a different journey. It's irrelevant what is working for other people. It's who are you? What is working for you? And are you committed for the long haul? And this is where committing to our spiritual practice and our evolution of self is so much easier than committing in something in business. And then business is just an extension of our commitment to our evolution. I am here to be free. And I'm showing up every day inside myself to free myself more. And I'm here to liberate others who want that also, to support them in that path. I'm not going to give up on that because one day I feel like, oh, I didn't help that person, or they didn't get the results they wanted. Or I don't get the results I think I want. When we give our business over to spirit and understand, I work for God. I don't actually work for myself. I'm not actually self-employed. The divine has employed me. I'm showing up to work every day for source.
I love that analogy. Thank you.
It's so much easier than I got to do this thing and I got to create this thing and I'm all alone on it. And sometimes as a solopreneur, it can feel very lonely and isolating, like it's all on me. And then we have to remember, no, it's not. I'm working for the divine. Okay, life, God, universe, source, where would you have me go? What would you have me say? What would you have me do? What's my next best step? And when we get, oh, my next best step is this. And I can tell you, this is where aligning with and working with a mentor that resonates with you, that is the container is held. That's the support. That's been my experience, that doing that, having that kind of unwavering support, because we will waver.
Right.
We will. And every time we go to expand to the next level of visibility, of increasing our rates, we will wobble. And if we're not, we're probably not taking a big enough leap. So the wobbling isn't the problem. What the ego goes, oh my God, there's something wrong. Fear comes in, oh my God, there's something wrong. We contract instead of going, wow, this is where I get to rise up. This is my moment of invitation from the universe. Instead of, and this is where we get to watch what meaning we're making out of things when it's not working out, when I'm not seeing the results. What is the meaning? Has this been helpful, Dee?
Oh, like a light from above. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Melanie.
You're welcome. Thanks for your question. Great question. Okay. Any other questions? Actually, what I'm going to do, because we've come to the top of the hour, I'm going to share with you the special gift that I have for you guys for showing up live. Thank you for being here. I'm going to share just briefly about a next step if you're wanting to work together deeper. And then I'm going to stay on for the next half an hour, or if there's questions, if anyone would like coaching around anything, I'm going to stay on this call if you would like that. And if not, if you have to go, thank you. I love you. Bless you. So the special gift that I would love to offer you is a video that I created called Your Big Why. So what I'll have you do is just type in, you don't have to do it publicly, but you can put in the chat, send me a message with your email, and I will send you that video so that you can tune into the information from the Big Why video. So just send me your email in the private chat to me. For those of you who are curious about what greater support and working together might look like, I have an invitation to you, but this invitation is only for certain people. This invitation is to have a call with me. It's a complimentary call. And what I ask, well, it's actually to an application for a call, just because my time is limited. So it's an application to a call to look at where you're at in your life and your business, where you want to go, what's in the way. From that call, if working together further would be valuable, then we can discuss that. And if not, I'll send you off with your next best steps. These calls are really for you if you're ready to use your life and your business as your spiritual growth, to really become unstoppable in that way. These calls are for people who are ready to recognize that they can't do it on their own, that are genuinely looking for some kind of support and or mentorship. And for those who are ready to invest in their life and their business. If you're not, and there has to be some investment in some way in your business, otherwise it won't go. And I know it can be terrifying. For me, investing in myself and my business has never been super easy. It's getting easier and easier and more fun because I see that every time I do that, it never fails. It's only expands. But if those qualifiers align with you, I'm going to put I'll put in the chat a link, and what you can do is, let's see if this works. You can send me your application. I would love to support you in your growth if it's in alignment. And I trust that if we're meant to work together, we will. And if there's something better for you, then we'll find out what that better thing for you is. Maybe it's a formula. Maybe there's a formula you need. I don't think so. Okay. So, and the other thing is, my partner and I are hosting 2 yoga, healing, and adventure retreats in Costa Rica. One is in December and one is in January. There's information on my website about that. This is not just a yoga retreat. This is the deep work inside of a yoga retreat, inside of being in a really beautiful part of the world with like-hearted people, eating nourishing food, receiving theta healing, energy healing, and looking at yourself and your life in a way that is so honest and loving, and reprogramming any of the parts that are not aligned with your soul. I'm really excited about seeing you as your soul self, not the limited self. And that's what these retreats in Costa Rica, and I know some of you here today are going to be there with us. We're so excited. There's still a couple spaces left for December, and then we've got spaces for January as well. So if that's of interest to you, send me an email, m@madurimethod.com. It is my email, m@madurimethod.com. I'll write that chat too. Okay. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Anything you would like coaching or support around? I'll stick around for a little while longer to serve you in that way. And if not, let me know. You can either in the chat, or has this been valuable? What's a takeaway for you? Was there one thing that really landed for you? Something that went, ooh, that resonated, or that's a golden nugget. I would love to hear what that is, so that there's feedback too, if this has been useful for you. I realize I'm serving my ego. Yeah. Do you want to speak or ask about that, Angie, or is that I'm curious what you noticed in that.
Yeah, like I really feel ready to go bigger, make more of an impact and expand. And then it's like, same like Dee said, with the consistency, feeling inspired, do a little work, and then it's like, oh, no, okay, better just take a break from that because that's too scary. I want to make a video. Well, what would I talk about? I don't know what I would talk about. Like, well, I could brainstorm some stuff. Well, not right now. I'm too busy. Yeah.
Okay. And so what's your why, Angie? Why do you want to do what you do?
I want to impact more people. I want to.
But why? Like, really, what impact more people? What would that serve? What's your motivator, like your true deep motivator?
To help people expand their consciousness and not live from limiting beliefs.
Okay.
Or live, in a stress response, a trauma response, an illness.
And why is this important to you?
Because that's where I lived from for so long, and I don't want that for others.
How painful was it?
Extremely.
Extremely painful.
Yeah.
So can you see how, and I love how you identified that. I know how aware you are of, okay, I'm operating from my ego in this, and that the ego is preventing the people that need your medicine, that are living in a place of extreme pain that you have lived through. They may not find you, they may not hear about you, they may not know you because you're scared.
Right.
And when you say it's too scary, what's the biggest fear of, let's just use that example of making the video?
Like, I don't even know. Because I used to love to be the center of attention. Like, look at me, look at me. I know that was a trauma response now, but like, why do I step back from that now?
Mm-hmm.
I I know it's unworthiness and fear of being judged and rejected, and it's part of it.
Okay. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
absolutely relate to that. Anyone else relate to that? That fear of being more visible, of like, what are people going to say? What are people going to judge? Yes. And again, that's where the work on those parts is really important, because it will be very difficult when we feel unsafe, literally. And it doesn't mean that it won't feel scary. I feel that constantly. Exact same thing about putting, whether it's a video or a post or a newsletter. And what I've come to realize and feel more secure in is when I actually realize people will judge.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I'm afraid they're judged, they will judge. People will judge you. And so for me, when I realized people are going to judge me, and then I began to increase my sense of self-worth, and remind myself what my big why is. My biggest fear was, I'm afraid I'm going to sound like a car salesman.
Mm.
And what I've come to realize, I'm like, oh my God, I am actually so passionate like you, Angie, to help people because I have lived through so much pain. I've lived through so much, like I said in the very beginning, like living in a 400 square foot apartment with my ex-husband because we had no money to even have a vehicle or a place that had sunlight coming in. I feel so inspired to support heart-centered business owners, healers, coaches, yoga teachers, people who are also struggling with the same thing. And when I remember that I work for the divine, so I can put my fears away, I can put my own insecurities away and deal with those, work with those, but also go, I'm doing this, A, to heal myself, and B, because I, like you, do not want more people to suffer. There's enough suffering on the planet. And most of the suffering, the clients that I deal with, it's the inner narrative.
Yeah.
Like the things you say, like, I feel unworthy, I'm scared to be judged.
And I'm the first one to say, what other people think of me is none of my business. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yes,
consciously, I really believe that consciously.
that's right.
Yeah.
So it's where we subconsciously don't
Okay.
believe.
Yeah.
That is the issue.
Yeah. But just
And
saying I work for God that's a game changer, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
So run with that. Reach out to me. Send me an email. I want to know how things go for you this next week. Just with even with
Okay.
that one kind of golden nugget. Just like, okay, when I know that I work for the divine and I'm going to actually be in communion asking, you know, what would you have me do today? Would you have me make a video or a post, or what is it? And then you know, and then the non-attachment to the outcome. This is karma yoga. And it can get confusing because we are in a monetary transactional world. But I was trained, I lived in an ashram where the basis of the ashram was karma yoga. So the whole training was around serve fully with zero attachment to the outcome, which was hard because I wanted someone to say thank you and I did something nice and they weren't. And I wanted some recognition and it wasn't. So it was a very humbling way to give 100% of myself without any attachment. And really, when we work for the divine, we get to know, okay, well, it's going to go the way the divine wants it to go. All I need to do is get my ego out of the way. And when I mean the ego, I mean the part of us that feels inferior. That's the ego, right?
Mhm.
I'm not good enough. I'm scared of being judged. We get that out of the way just momentarily. We come into alignment with the divine. And then we just do that a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. We notice where we contract, where we're like, oh, I'm getting busy over here, so I don't have to make the video, for example. Oh, I'm making up reasons why I can't. I was talking to my friend yesterday. One of the big reasons that I don't make videos is because I don't want to do my hair and put on makeup. No one's telling me I have to do my hair or put on makeup. But I use that as an excuse. So my options either do my hair and put on makeup. I did this morning, actually, do my hair and put on makeup, or just make the freaking video and who cares? Those are my options. But if I stay in my ego, I would have never made this class. I would have never done this. So I want to hear how it goes for you when the divine is
Okay.
running your business, not your ego.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Thank you so much for bringing that forth. I saw there were some questions popping up on the chat. Let me just sneak back and see if I can catch them. Larissa, I feel I am torn between two very different heart and soul callings. I don't think that Larissa's here anymore, so I can't ask you any more about that. Torn between two very different heart and soul callings, which is interesting because I think there's a lot to unpack there, but she's not here, so we won't do that today. Yes, I will send out the big why video. I really value my privacy, but know that as a coach, exposure is an important outlet for the business model. I would say that's a false understanding. And this is where I think a lot of us get trapped in this idea about social media. You do not have to use social media to grow your business. Social media is a tool. And you also get to discern, like everyone is filtering what they put on social media, right? It's all curated. No one, you don't have to put the worst thing that ever happened to you on social media. You might choose to, you might not. So one of the ways that we can grow our business without using social media, and we might do both. So my business, I do both. Is connection, is human connection. It's like to go to the grassroots, old school. You pick up the phone or you email the 5 people, the 5 friends you have and say, hey, I'm working as a coach and I've got this program, or I'm working with people who do this. Do you know anybody who is suffering from blah, 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 blah? And then those people might be like, oh yeah, my cousin Joey, or oh, my friend Linda, or oh, me, I need support around that. So we can grow our business through true human relationships and connection. When it can be so genuine. My clients, I love my clients. I only work with people that I love. And I don't work with everybody that comes to my doorstep, because I work with people who are really committed, who are in their heart, and who I know I can support. If I can't, if they're sort of too far away from what feels, if I'm just not the best person for them, I'll redirect them to work with somebody else. But human connection is priceless. Being genuinely interested in people, asking questions. So this is one way that we can, and an important part, I think, of any business is those human connections and interaction. Asking for referrals is not to be underestimated, because often if I'm working with a client or people that are wonderful, they're going to also know wonderful people. And there's many layers to this, but I just want to impart that there are different ways to do that. And inside of my soul-led business program, which I haven't talked about today, but it's called Alchemy of Freedom, I go over different ways to grow your business. And again, it has to be one that feels right for you. Right, meaning not comfortable. So if we're, say, avoiding, like Angie's great question and example about the video and feeling scared, that's not of service. If you get the inspiration and the knowing, like, okay, I need to do this, and then contract, that's very different. So listening to the intuition, okay, universe, what will you have me do? My higher power is having me offer a seminar like this, and then invite you into a conversation, to apply for a conversation, to see if working together would be good. That's one way. It's not the only way. Some people only use Instagram or Facebook. I found that that's not super valuable for me. I don't have 50,000 people or 1 million people following me, but what is valuable is true curiosity and care about people and building relationships. So again, that's inside of the work that I do with people, is how to, set up your business in a way that works for you. And it doesn't have to be the social media model. Social media can be a great tool. Absolutely. If it's used in a way, and you get to decide how you use it, what you share, what you don't share. It can be a great tool. It's just communication. Right. I used to think like, oh, I hate telling people what I do, or I hate telling people I have this program coming up. And a woman who's a friend of mine and a colleague, she said, it's communication. You're not selling anything. You're communicating what you do and how you could help someone. And if you don't communicate it, they don't know. They don't know. People don't know the magnificence of you unless it's communicated somehow. So social media is a tool of communication. It's not about boasting. It's not about it's about communicating what you do. And how amazing that we live at a time in history that we can communicate to millions, billions of people on the planet at once. The possibility is there. So I can appreciate it. I don't love it, to be honest, social media. I don't love spending my time in that way. I've given myself permission, in the way I work with it in my businesses, when I feel inspired to post. But again, it can get sneaky with the ego, because the ego might be like, oh, I'm not feeling inspired. So it depends on you. And this is where the individuality of knowing yourself, and also having a mentor or guide who can reflect back to you what they're seeing, where your blind spots might be, helps to go, oh yeah, I have a blind spot here, or I'm not seeing that there. So, but that's a great question about privacy and coaching and exposure. Yeah, we do need to expose ourselves in certain places. Maybe that's in person at a networking meeting, or on social media, or at a party, right? Like, or at a gathering, you know, you're on a soccer team and you go and you like, it can be any way. I think sometimes we overthink it as well, and we stop remembering that life is, you know, is interactive, and we can meet people anywhere. But we can't just stay at home all day long and not use social media, and like, there has to be some level of connectivity for sure. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I have. If I can.
Yes, absolutely. Hey.
Hi, I'm sorry I was so late. I got tied up in house renovations. Anyway, so I have this issue in terms of feminine energy and masculine energy. So to me, helping is feminine energy, but sometimes I think I'm confused in that it gets overshadowed by overdoing. So rather than helping a person find their own way of dealing with whatever the issue is, sometimes I feed that. I feed information that really isn't mine to feed to that other person. It can be in very, very, very many different situations.
Yeah,
It's just not valuable to anybody.
that's right. So asking, what I would say, Claire, is just ask people before you give any, like, just make that be a practice for the next little while. Before you give any advice or help or support, ask people. One question that I like is like, what would support look or feel like to you right now? Or do you want my opinion? Or are you asking for advice? Like, simply slowing down enough to ask, it eliminates so much exerted energy that may not ever be received anyway.
And also, I resent it in me for doing it. I don't resent the other person for taking it. I realized recently I resent it in me, for actually doing it.
Yeah, which just sounds like a signal that you're betraying. It's coming out of a wounding, or like a patterning, a conditioning. So yeah, just slow it down, and before you speak, just ask first if what people are really wanting, because then also your response can be more directive, more helpful even. Yeah, I think it's a great inquiry, but asking.
Yeah.
Thank you. All these little things that are big things, right? That can really change the whole way that we relate to people and ourselves, and how we may or may not overlap our, what am I trying to say? How we may or may not go into our over-functioning or under-functioning. Biete, thank you for sharing your experience and wisdom. This discussion was valuable. I'm curious about the balance, feminine and masculine. Biete, is there something specific you have a question for? You're welcome to unmute yourself. I saw it before. I just remembered you were unmuted before. So is there something you'd like to share?
Yeah, I really got caught, this question popped up about the balancing of feminine and masculine. And is it like when I feel like I'm in the negative masculine or in the negative feminine, do I have to balance it with going into the other? Or do I have to balance it within within the feminine, becoming aware that I have to look for what would be a more balanced feminine? So that's a little bit my question.
I love that question.
What is balance in that sense, right?
Yeah, what comes to me is that we would look, just like Ayurveda, we would look to the imbalance, and we would correct it from there. So I would say, if you're noticing I'm out of balance in the feminine, I'm pleasing, I'm overgiving, I'm not, setting healthy boundaries for myself, for example, then yes, I would begin to clean up that feminine energy, be like, okay, what does balanced feminine energy look and feel like in my body, in my nervous system? So that you're really just meeting that situation, that moment, that experience, and rewiring, setting new neural pathways, which can be very, very difficult. I did some work this morning with a client on this very topic. She was having a hard time with a friend who essentially was coming and dumping, the friend was coming and dumping all her problems onto her, and would never sort of, or might say, oh, how are you? And then my client would go to respond and the friend would just really ignore it. And so again, we had to look at, well, what's going on? And for her, it was difficult for her to be honest with her friend and say, you know, what I'm noticing is that this relationship is really one-sided. You know, and so we get to look at, well, gosh, it feels like, oh, my whole throat chakra closes up. The idea of having to say that to someone, that fear of confrontation, or that fear of, I don't want to hurt her feelings, was what my client was saying. I don't want to hurt her feelings. And it was interesting because I said, oh, so you'll allow your feelings to be hurt, and you'll allow yourself to be walked over. And so that was the feminine out of balance. And so we came to this place where she's got some homework to go and work on bringing her feminine into balance, taking care of her needs, making her needs as important. It's not to swing the pendulum and now become domineering, or no, it's how do I live in that feminine balance for me? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a huge topic.
It really
because
is.
there is that in some situation being balanced and then falling out of balance and compensating with the other side. And
yes,
I think I know all these aspects. But yeah, that is really helpful to sort of taking that focus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's such an inquiry and exploration. That's why I say this truly is our spiritual practice, right? We get opportunities all day long to see, oh, wow, I'm just operating out of who I think I am and how I respond always. And we know that we're starting to break the conditioning when it gets uncomfortable. Oh gosh, I have to tell her that I feel like our relationship is lopsided. Oh my God, I have to say what is actually really true. And then we get to do the healing around the parts of us who feel terrified. And then we trace that back and we get to see, you know, the original wounding. Yeah. All right. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you for your participation. It has been really such a beautiful time with you all. I look forward to more of these experiences. If you have any topics that you would love me to speak on or share in another webinar or a video, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you and keep the conversation going. So thank you so much. We'll sign off here, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.